Hello and welcome back to Crusader Kings 3. In today's tips and tricks video we're going to be explaining about succession. Now this video is going to split into two bits. The first part I'm going to be going over the succession laws, basically how to get them, what they are, all the kind of in-game mechanics to do with succession. And the second half is going to be some just more general kind of tips and tricks really of how to actually manage succession to the best of your ability as a kind of playing character, because of course in CK you play as a dynasty, not just a single character. Now we are going to example all of this through Ban Kulin of Upper Bosnia. This is in the 1186 start date, and as you can see we have one duchy tier title, we've got 5 domain, that's going to be very important later. Now we have 3 sons. We're going to be changing some of the succession laws and going to go over them with these 3 sons and these things. Now, as you can see here, we have succession laws. Succession is very much how your realm, your domain gets split up once you die and goes to your children. How to get, well, everyone starts off with these with Confederate Partition. That's very much your early game one. It is awful. You want to get off that as soon as you can. It's relatively easy to unlock Partition and High Partition. You get that through your innovations in your culture. Of course, here you got Tribal Gavelkind gives you Confederate Partition. You get Early Medieval. That gives you Partition. You have High Medieval. Gives you heraldry, which gives you High Partition and House Seniority, and then we'll get to over here Late Medieval Primogeniture. We'll get to that in a minute, but let's just focus on these first ones at the top. Now, to actually change your succession law, you have to have a couple of things. You need to get your limited crown authority, at least. As you see here, autonomous vassals level 1 crown authority. You can't really do anything. But if you go to level 2, you can establish tributaries, and you can change between available partition succession, also those top 3. And as you go further on, you can, where was it? Yeah, available all succession laws with level 3. So definitely by mid to late game, you want this one. And to actually change it, you will need a few other things. As you can see here, you need all of your powerful vassals' approval, and you need some prestige as well. As you can see here. Now, when you have all these things, you're able to change the law. Now, these are the 3 partition succession laws. This is going to get, it's not, don't worry, keep up, it's going to be fine. These are kind of, they're okay. You want to try and get off these as soon as you can. On Confederate Partition, you read this description. Basically, all of your titles will be shared between your children relatively equally. So divided equally, yeah, cool, fine, whatever. The most important thing about this description is this bit here. Younger children will have titles created for them if enough land is held. What does that mean? Well, as exampled with Ban Kulin of Upper Bosnia, we hold 1 Dutch title. However, if we have a look at our actual de jure territory, we hold enough to create the Duchy of Lower Bosnia. This means upon succession, we have 3 sons. Our eldest Stepyan, actually, let's go up to the succession thing. Tab here, we can see here, upon succession, our eldest son, our player heir, will get the primary title, which is a duchy, because that's our highest level title, and he'll get the capital, county capital. Now, here we go. Titles lost on succession 5. 4 titles are lost in Milovan Kulinic, who is my second son. He is over here. He gets the Duchy of Lower Bosnia, which has been created by this law. It's been created by your Confederate Partition, is creating it the same, because we have enough de jure territory. And then he's getting Vrabas, which is within Lower Bosnia. He's getting Ursula, which is in Lower Bosnia, and is getting Soli, which is in Lower Bosnia. So he's getting all the territories associated with that primary title, which has not yet been created. And then we get our third son, Ratagos Kulinic, who is being getting Donji Kraji, which is in within the primary Duchy of Bosnia. So essentially, upon succession, your player heir son is being punished immensely by primary titles of the same level, i.e. Duchy levels being created with Lower Bosnia, but also if you have, well, of course, you're getting this dude, Milovan, all of these titles within that secondary primary tier title are being created, going to him, so everything else is being taken out of our primary heir's succession, which means he's going to be weaker. Your heir is going to be weaker. You want to get off this as soon as you can. It's not great. It's not a great law. You will start off the game pretty much with this unless you're tribal. This is very much a feudal one here. If we go into well, let's change it. Now we've got all of the things. We've got the 4 approval from powerful vassal approval. We've also got the prestige. We're going to change it to partition. Let's have a quick read of what this is now. The important thing here is under partition succession, your titles will be divided equally between your children. We're going to change this law. Again, you get some little minor bonuses here. Don't worry too much about that. And we're going to press play quickly, let the game update. And we're going to go back into the succession screen, and I'm going to show you what that means. Things have changed. Now, as you can see, our boy stepchild is now getting duchy. That was fine. That was the same. Rama, that's fine. That's the same. But also getting Ursula, which is within Lower Bosnia. Why? Why is that different? Well, because we're splitting up the 5 domain titles that I, as the father, holds between our 3 children, and that means rather than it being 1-3-1 like it was with the previous law, it's now going 2-2-1. That's how they're trying to do it. That description of divided equally means numerically between your children as equal as it can be. So the eldest is getting 2, the second eldest is getting 2, and the youngest is getting 1. Now, again, another very, very important thing of this here is that titles aren't being created. The Duchy of Lower Bosnia is not being created for Milovan Kulinic, which means upon succession, all of these titles will stay within the realm. It won't split up the realm into multiple duchies, but the brother will be underneath this other brother. So that's going to be huge for playthrough, absolutely huge. And of course, kind of de jure territories being lost a little bit because there isn't, well, between the sons, because there isn't that second duchy being created. And of course, this guy is just getting whatever's left on Jukraji. Enjoy that. But that's the main difference in not creating the titles, and that's the big thing. You can kind of keep your realm together-ish as best you can with that succession law. The next succession law is going to be partition. Higher partition either. Now, we read the description of this. The important thing here, again, is pretty much all the same. The subscription, other than the thing at the bottom, the player heir will always inherit at least half of the late ruler's titles. That is very important because, again, like partition, this is going to be done numerically. And importantly, again, unlike Confederate partition, there aren't going to be the creation of new titles. So land will possibly stay within the same realm upon succession. We're going to change the law. Again, we've got all of the things needed to do that. We're going to pass law again. You can see the kind of mounting bonuses you get there. We're just going to press play to let it update, and we're going to have a quick look in the succession tab again. High partition. Let's see who's getting what. And here you go. My son and player heir Stepan is getting the duchy, which I hold, and he's also getting Verbas, which is, well, if we have a look at it, it's 3-1-1. He's got a good amount of the titles, more than half, of course, 5, 3, and 2, with the other sons getting 1 and 1 each. This is, again, it's good. It's good. It's very good. And again, these, because we haven't made that second duchy title, the titles aren't divided for de jure duchy. It's just pretty much random, to be completely honest. You will get the county capital, the realm capital, as the player heir. But other than that, it's split between the duchies that I have territory in, with no secondary primary title being created. In terms of getting this, you kind of want to get these done relatively as soon as you can, get these laws done and passed. But really, you want to move on to these ones down here. Now, these ones are a lot easier to explain. They're a lot easier to understand. Primogeniture, again, you can get it with your not higher medieval, you can get it with your late medieval research tech. Primogeniture is the best one. This is what you want in your game as early as you can get it, pretty much. If you can build a learning character and get this with good research, this would be huge. Now, upon succession, all, and I mean all, of the late ruler's titles will be given to your player heir, which is their oldest eligible child. That's important, the oldest eligible child, because ultimogeniture is the opposite. Under ultimate succession, your youngest child inherits all of your titles. Now again, this it's probably going to be less useful than your primogeniture to get more chance to put in all the time and effort to your oldest child. However, if you've got, for example, 2 children, or if you have a genius son who just happens to be your youngest, then possibly changing your succession laws to ultimogeniture can be a good way of getting them the throne and getting the traits, the inheritable traits, to what you want. And now, the next single realm heir one is house seniority. Under house seniority succession, the oldest member of your house will inherit all of your titles. Now, be careful with this one. This is your whole house. This isn't just your immediate family. This is your whole house. So if you're playing, for example, who got a big house here? Probably, let's go England, yeah. This is the entire Plantagenet dynasty. We have a look at the dynasty tree. Actually, no, don't do that. I want to look at the dynasty. 22 living members. So Henry Mantle of England, currently his heir is 31-year-old. His brother, this is probably a bad example because it's very complicated anyway, but upon succession with the ultimate, it would go to age, and it would be Earl Hamelin of Cambridgeshire would be the heir, as he is the oldest, the next oldest of the house. So again, that could be a good way to kind of manipulate succession for inheritable traits, for example, and with want to change it back. But it could be some pretty good roleplay opportunities there as well. It is also worth noting that these base game succession laws, which you can unlock via research in the culture tab, aren't the only ones you can get. There are some other ones that are exclusive to, for example, your religion or your culture. For example, here as Ethelred Ethelwulfson of Wessex, we go to our primary title of Petty Kingdom of Wessex. We can add special succession laws. We have access to Scandinavian for our West Germanic heritage and Tanistry elective, as well as we're currently on Saxon elective when we get the Kingdom of England. So depending on kind of DLCs you have, and I'm sure there'll be plenty more released in the future with special succession laws, be aware that for some cultures and kingdoms you will be able to get these, but on others you will not be able to. The other part of law for inheritance is the gender law. Now, as you go here, we've got 5 options here. We've got male only, the difference, as well as male preference. Now, the difference between these is male preference. If you were to have one son and one daughter, but then those will be your heir. However, if your son was to die, your daughter would be your heir. However, on male only, your daughter could never be your heir. They are disqualified from inheritance. It would go to your brother, it would go to your uncle, it would go to your closest male relative. On male preference, it would go to any sons that you have. However, if you do not have any sons, it will go to a female, rather than being passed over to an uncle or a brother or something like that. Equal, again, is they're equal in succession. So if you have again a son and a daughter, whoever's born first, whoever's done kind of oldest, or if you've got the laws, youngest or oldest of house or whatever, gender won't matter. It'll just be that. And again, similar to male preference and male only, is the same with female. If you've got daughters, but they will die, it'll go to a son. Or female only, it will only go to your kind of, if you haven't got any daughters, it won't go to a son, it will go to an auntie, a sister, whatever. Again, you can change that. It still takes the same kind of things. You need to get all of your powerful vassal approval and a bit of prestige as well. Now for some tips about managing succession. CK is obviously a dynastic game stretching over many centuries. Now, yes, you can play story mode characters kind of within one lifetime, but playing as a dynasty is probably the long kind of game of CK. Now, one way to manage your succession, other than kind of changing your succession laws to favour one son under or over another, is by as the house head, you'll have to be the house head for this, is you can actually disinherit them. If you go into your hostile schemes here, you can disinherit or renounce. Now, for this, you need to renown, and you also cannot have the mystical ancestors tradition, but you can disinherit and denounce, and disinherit being the very important one here. And what this does is this disqualifies them from succession, which means you can eliminate them from the succession calculations that go on with the other stuff. So they'll be completely, instead of being between the 3 sons, it would just be between the 2. Now, another way of doing this would be to raise them to take vows. Now, they need to be join the clergy, or if you have a holy order, you can ask them to join a holy order, but they'd have to have either, well, for this one, a clergy education and a hook, of course, or you'd have to have a martial education and have relevant traits such as humble, something, you know, very befitting of a holy order member. Those are 2 ways to get them disqualified from succession, and kind of let you choose children to be your heirs as opposed to others. Now, another way of managing succession, again, this is more for when you have an heir you will decide that you want to keep, you want to make him as strong as possible, him or her, of course. And by doing that, you can manage that in a few different ways. Now, number 1, you can make them landed. Because what this do, especially if they have a seneschal, the council position, the court position, which gives them legitimacy per month as well as other bonuses. But that legitimacy will counter any poor legitimacy debuffs they might have. Of course, here we're only level 1, so we're getting all this short range duration, popular opinion -5, and reduce and increase cost of whatever. So giving them their own territory early gives them some legitimacy, which will help them when by the time of succession they get, you know, maybe the kingdom title or whatever, rather than just a county. They actually have some good succession, it's in my head now, some legitimacy. And another way of making them stronger is obviously by giving them a job at court as well, because it will cost. See here, that gives you a salary of 0.37 or 0.3 a month, and it may not seem like much, but if they've been serving you for 10, 15, 20 years, that can add up. That can really add up, and when they succeed, they will have that money, and that can be very, very important, especially if they have it and their other possible rival siblings don't. In any succession war, if they're loaded with money, they can buy mercenaries, and well, you, when you're playing with them, can buy mercenaries and win that war and secure the future of your house and dynasty. Now, another way to secure this is simply by giving them a gift. You can send them gifts, you can give them money, and again, the opinion doesn't really matter too much, but you're putting money out of your own pocket and into theirs, which is, especially if you're on death's door and you think succession is going to be pretty soon, that's going to be a very, very important. One of the most effective ways, however, of securing succession is by opinion. Now, this is as your current ruler, you get a high opinion, or at least get them to have a high opinion of you. You can do this by various forms, such as, you know, swaying them, but upon succession, when my player heir takes over, they will have an opinion modifier, which is opinion of successor. Now, if they have a high opinion of me, that means they're more likely to have a high opinion of my heir, and that can be just the difference. It can be very powerful and be just the difference between them rebelling and not rebelling, and is very much worthwhile if you're in later life and your health is not doing too good. Investing in activities such as feasts, investing in sway schemes, and even sending gifts and artifacts, of course, as well, give very good opinion modifiers. That can be a very effective way of keeping your succession relatively, I say relatively because you never know in this game, but relatively risk-free-ish, or as risk-free as you can get it. Now, I'm going to end this video there. I hope you have found it useful. If you have got any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. I'll be more than happy to explain things as often as you would like. I hope you found these tips useful. If you'd like any more, if you've got any questions about them, please let me know, of course, as well. I will reply to everything I can. Hope this helps, and go on conquering. Keep going, you're doing great. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't enjoyed, please subscribe to the channel. It does mean the absolute world to me. I hope you're enjoying these tips and tricks videos. I really love doing them. If you've got any suggestions for any other topics you would like, please let me know in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.